My husband Dee and I started dating when I was 21, and he was 23. We were together almost 2 years before he proposed. We've been married for 12 years, and we have 2 kids. On our second year together, he introduced me to his mom, Mallory. I tried hard to make a good first impression because I knew how close they were. Mallory had been a widow for a long time. Dee's father died suddenly years ago, and since then it had basically been the two of them against the world. Dee was the kind of guy who always wanted his mother's approval, even as an adult. The problem was, Mallory never liked me. The reason wasn't something I could fix with politeness or effort. She didn't like that I came from money. My family isn't celebrity rich, but my parents owned a few businesses and we lived comfortably. They paid for my education and helped me get started. And yes, I had advantages. But they also drilled independence into me. I worked all through school, built skills, and after college I supported myself. I went into marketing, helping creators and brands grow, and I took pride in earning my own living. Dee's background was messier. His dad was military and rarely home. After his dad died, Dee and Mallory became inseparable. Mallory struggled with alcohol and Dee learned to take care of her way too young. He got a job as a teenager to keep things afloat. He went to college, dropped out, bounced around, and eventually made decent money as a freelance writer. For a few years he traveled a lot, living out of a backpack and a laptop, until we met and he decided to settle down. Through all of it, he sent his mom money, every month without fail. When our relationship started getting serious, I finally told Dee that my family had money. He didn't believe me at first. Then he looked my parents up online and got quiet in a way that made my stomach drop. After that, he acted like I'd hidden something unforgivable. He accused me of not trusting him. I tried to explain that I'd been burned before. People treating me differently once they knew what my parents had. I said I wanted someone to choose me without thinking about the lifestyle attached. He said he understood. But even after he understood, little comments started slipping out. Jokes that weren't really jokes. You've never had to struggle. You don't know what real hard work is. Must be nice to have a safety net. I hated how much it got under my skin. I wasn't pretending I had the same childhood he did. But I wasn't some helpless princess either. I worked. I built my career. I paid my own bills. And the fact he couldn't respect that should have been my first warning sign. Things got worse when we moved in together. Dee insisted we move into my place because it was bigger. That part made sense. What didn't make sense was what he said next. He didn't want to split rent or utilities. He claimed he couldn't afford it as a freelancer. And then he twisted it into something emotional. Like my willingness to pay for everything was proof of love. He said because I came from money, I should show him I wasn't like other rich girls. I argued, told him it wasn't fair, offered a compromise. If I covered rent, he could cover his personal expenses and contribute where he could. He exploded. He called me selfish, said I was punishing him for being poor, said I didn't understand how hard his life had been. The fight went on until I backed down just to make it stop. So I paid. I paid for everything. And the entire time, he still had money to send his mom, and he still bought her expensive gifts. Whenever I pointed that out, he would get angry and say his mum needed it more than we did because she was a lonely older woman. He'd make it sound like I was heartless for even mentioning it. Eventually, I stopped bringing it up because guilt was easier than another war. When Dee proposed, I wanted it to be something special. I'd been carrying so much of the relationship financially and emotionally. that I was hoping. Just once, he'd make an effort that wasn't half-hearted. He proposed in my parents' backyard, in front of everyone. It wasn't private. It wasn't romantic. It was convenient. I said yes anyway. My family was cheering. Friends were clapping. And I convinced myself I was being ungrateful for feeling disappointed. Later, I learned my mum had encouraged Dee to involve my best friend Kylie in planning it. Kylie and I had been best friends since school. Our mums were close, so we grew up together. She felt like a sister, someone I trusted completely. When I started dating Dee, I introduced them, and they got along easily. I thought that was a good thing. I thought it meant the people I loved could all be in the same circle. Kylie helped him pick the ring, helped him plan the proposal. The first people to hug me afterward were my mum, Kylie, and Kylie's mum. Mallory came over too and told me she had high expectations for me as a wife. And she hoped I'd do everything possible to keep her son happy. I remember smiling politely, while something in my chest tightened. We got married, and somehow, even after the wedding, the same pattern continued. I covered the household. I paid for date nights. I paid for trips because Dee insisted he was saving for our future. He spent plenty on his mum, though. Then I got pregnant with our first child, James. The pregnancy was hard. I was exhausted, sick, and my doctor warned me I needed to slow down. I quit my job because I genuinely wasn't doing well. Dee was furious. He argued that I should keep working because we needed money for the baby. I cried so much I thought I'd break. That was the first time I told my parents how bad things were. My mum sided with the Dee. She said plenty of women work while pregnant, and I needed to toughen up. My dad didn't. He called Dee and told him to start acting like a man and take care of his family. He warned him that if he kept treating me this way, my dad wouldn't sit by and watch his daughter suffer. We had a prenup, my dad insisted. Dee knew what it meant. If we divorced, he would lose access to the comfortable life he'd been living in my home and my name. For the first time, Dee changed his behavior. He stopped sending his mom money for a while. He started paying bills. Mallory blamed me immediately, like I'd stolen something from her. When James was born, I was happy, but also terrified and lonely in a way I couldn't explain. Kylie stayed close to me in those first days. She helped me recover, helped me breathe through the overwhelm. Dee was busy with work. He didn't take care of me or the baby. At home, I was a brand new mother, trying to figure everything out alone. My parents helped when they could. Kylie's mom helped too. Mallory did nothing except criticize. She would show up, look me up and down, comment on my body, complain if the baby cried, tell me I was doing things wrong. She never once aimed that criticism at her son, the man who wouldn't even change a diaper. After James was born, I fell into postpartum depression without realizing it. I just knew I felt like I was drowning. I begged Dee for help. He stayed distant. He insisted the baby was my responsibility because I was the mother. He wouldn't feed him, wouldn't change him, wouldn't even pretend to learn. Every day felt heavier. My depression got worse. I told my parents again. My dad listened. My mum dismissed it. She said postpartum depression wasn't real. She told me I had to be strong and stop complaining. It hurt more than I can explain, realizing my own mother couldn't see me. The only person who consistently supported me was Kylie. I told her everything. She listened, comforted me, told me Dee was being a terrible husband and father. She got angry on my behalf. She made me feel less alone. A year later, I got pregnant again. It wasn't planned. I was scared, but I decided to keep the baby. Dee was furious. He said we couldn't afford a second child. The fight was massive, and I realized I couldn't keep relying on him for stability because he wasn't stable. I went back to work, freelancing at first, then slowly rebuilding my income. This pregnancy was hard too, but now I had James and a house and everything on my shoulders. So I forced myself through it. I made another decision quietly. I stopped sending my full paycheck into our joint account. I kept half for myself, for my kids, for the future I was starting to suspect I might need. As I started earning again, Dee somehow got lazier. He complained non-stop that he hated his job. He said he wanted to quit. I reminded him he didn't finish college, and this was a good-paying job he shouldn't throw away. He hated being reminded of dropping out. He said if I ever got a break, he deserved one too. I told him my break was pregnancy and childbirth. He didn't care. He quit anyway. He spent all day playing video games while I worked, took care of James, handled the house, and carried another pregnancy. When I asked him to step up, he started going to his friend Clinton's place. Clinton was divorced and bitter. His wife had cheated and left him. And ever since then, he talked about women like they were enemies. I hated being around him, and I hated how much time Dee spent with him. But Dee didn't care. Our fights got worse. I felt like a single mother, even though I was married. When I went into labor with our second child, Nick, I called Dee again and again. No answer. I called Kylie. No answer. My parents rushed me to the hospital. Kylie showed up the next day and apologized, claiming she was stuck at work. I didn't question it. I didn't have energy to question anything. After Nick was born, something in me finally snapped into place. I gave Dee an ultimatum. Find a job or I leave. For once, he didn't fight it. He said he'd start looking the next day. It felt suspiciously easy. But I wanted to believe. The next morning, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed. The screen lit up on the counter. A message preview flashed from a number I knew by heart. Kylie. It said, "When are you going to tell her? I'm pregnant, and I can't keep this secret anymore." I stood there staring at the screen like the world had stopped moving. The words didn't make sense at first. My brain tried to rearrange them into something harmless. A joke, a misunderstanding, anything but what they were. When Dee stepped out of the shower and saw me holding his phone, his face went white. He rushed toward me, reaching for it. But I was already reading, already understanding. I dropped the laundry basket. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the phone. He started talking, fast, panicked, incoherent. Saying it wasn't what it looked like, saying I was misunderstanding. I didn't let him finish. I walked up to him and slapped him, hard. The sound echoed through the room. My entire body was trembling, but my voice was steady when I spoke. "You're dead to me." That was it. I packed bags for myself and the kids. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I moved on pure instinct. I drove straight to my parents' house. When they opened the door and saw me standing there with 2 children and suitcases, I broke. I told them everything. For 2 days, I couldn't stop crying. I told my boss what happened, and she gave me time off without hesitation. I had no words for what my life had become. My husband of 12 years had been sleeping with my best friend. My best friend of 20 years was pregnant with his child. They both called, texted, begged. I didn't answer. Dee said I had to think about our kids. He said I shouldn't throw our family away. A month passed. I went back to work because I had to. Work became the only place where my mind could rest. Kylie sent me a long message. She said she never meant for this to happen. She said she had fallen in love with Dee. She said now that she was pregnant, she had to think about herself. Dee told me something very different. He admitted he knew he would lose everything if we divorced. The house, the lifestyle, the safety. He said he never meant for it to go this far. He said he just wanted comfort, just wanted to feel understood. Now he begged me to fix it. He even suggested I convince Kylie to get rid of it so we could raise the child together. That was when I truly saw him. I learned how it started. Dee had been complaining to Kylie for months while he sat at home playing video games. He told her how miserable he was, how I nagged him, how she understood him in ways I didn't. Clinton encouraged it. He told Dee that Kylie was a real woman and that I was cold and demanding. What began as just talking turned into betrayal. Kylie had the nerve to write that she had done me a favor, that she saved me from him, that I had wanted to leave anyway. I was almost certain that the night I went into labor with Nick, they were together. And then something else broke. When I told my parents everything, my father believed me instantly. My mother didn't. She said Kylie would never do that. She said I must be mistaken. So I called Kylie's mother. She didn't doubt me for a second. She cried with me. She said she was ashamed. She told me she was furious with her daughter. That was when I decided to divorce. Because of the prenup and the affair, the process was straightforward. The only complication would be custody. But I knew Dee had never wanted responsibility. I was confident I would get full custody. What I wasn't prepared for was my mother. She became obsessed with stopping the divorce. When she realized she couldn't change my mind, she changed tactics. She started saying I should give Dee full custody of my children. At first I thought it was a sick joke. She repeated it again and again. I finally lost my temper and asked her how she could even suggest that. She didn't answer. She just walked away. That was when I knew something was very wrong. Why would my own mother want my children raised by a man who had never cared for them? I decided I would confront her, with my father present. When I sat down with my parents, I didn't soften anything. I told my mother to explain herself. At first she hesitated. Then my father pressed her. And finally, she told the truth. After I told her about the affair, she had secretly met with Kylie. She hadn't believed me and wanted to hear it for herself. Kylie confessed everything. She told my mother she was pregnant and needed Dee to help raise the baby. Instead of being furious, my mother felt sorry for her. She offered her financial help. She suggested that Dee could still support Kylie and the baby while staying married to me. Kylie refused. That's when my mother changed strategies. She told Kylie that since she had destroyed my marriage, she should take responsibility for all the children. She told her I was mentally unstable because I had postpartum depression, that I wasn't fit to raise my own kids. She convinced Kylie that if I gave up custody, I would have to pay massive child support, money Kylie could use. And then she came to me and tried to make it happen. I felt like the ground vanished beneath me. My husband betrayed me. My best friend betrayed me. And now my mother. My father told her to leave. She cried. She begged. He didn't move. She went to live with her sister. Months passed. The divorce finalized. Dee tried to get custody, then shared custody. The court saw through him. They saw that he had never been present, that he had no stability, that his mother was an alcoholic. that he cheated. I was granted full custody. Dee now pays me child support. Mallory stared at me in court with hatred. I smiled. My mother begged for forgiveness. My father demanded therapy before he would even consider reconciliation. Kylie became nothing to me. Her mother cut her off completely, removed her from her will. She chose me. I heard Dee didn't want to raise Kylie's baby, exactly as I had expected. I am divorced now. I have my children. I am free. I no longer cling to people who break me. I am building a life that belongs to me.
That's where the story ends. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and see you next time.